10 most shocking Nostradamus predictions for 2025, what you must know now. Are you ready to face the future? Hundreds of years ago, a man named Michel de Nostradamus, known to the world as Nostradamus, penned a series of cryptic verses. In them, he painted visions of war, disease, collapse, and ye's seven hope. Though written in the 16th century, his predictions are now echoing through the headlines of our time with chilling relevance. And the year 2025 may be one of the most pivotal turning points in human history. From the rise of artificial intelligence that could slip beyond our control, to devastating natural disasters, political upheaval, and even humanity's leap toward colonizing Mars, Nostradamus's prophecies speak of a world on the edge of transformation or destruction. This isn't just about predicting the future, it's about understanding what kind of world we're helping to create. Because while the prophecies are ancient, the choices are ours. In today's video, we'll explore 10 of the most shocking predictions Nostradamus may have made for 2025. Each one is not just a forecast, but a reflection of where we are and where we might be headed if we're not careful. So take a deep breath, keep your mind open and your heart steady, because what you're about to hear may forever change the way you see the future. Number 1. Aquarius Awakens, Hope or Reckoning. Let's talk about something many people believe will be a golden age, the Age of Aquarius. You've probably heard it described as a time of spiritual awakening, unity, innovation, and higher consciousness. Right. But what if we told you that one of history's most mysterious prophets, Nostradamus, saw this time very differently? While modern astrologers and spiritual thinkers often welcome the Age of Aquarius with hope and idealism, Nostradamus, whose cryptic verses have stirred both fascination and fear for centuries, warned of a darker side. He didn't see this new age as a peaceful turning point, but rather as a stormy period full of upheaval and suffering. According to his predictions, the transition into Aquarius wouldn't be a gentle awakening, but a rough and painful transformation for humanity. So, what did he really see? In his symbolic and often puzzling writings, Nostradamus painted vivid scenes of a world unraveling, rivers running red, masses suffering from disease, nations locked in war, and people starving under collapsing economies. Rather than a world harmonizing under shared ideals, he foresaw rising conflict, broken systems, and a planet pushed to its limits. It's as if he predicted not just physical events, but emotional and spiritual trials, signaling that humanity may need to face its deepest shadows before any light can truly emerge. Could it be that we are now living through the first tremors of this intense shift? Think about the last few years' pandemics that brought the world to a standstill, political unrest shaking the foundations of societies, economic stress pressing on everyday people, and the worsening climate crisis that can no longer be ignored. These aren't just headlines, they're experiences that touch us all. Is this the Age of Awakening or the Age of Reckoning? Now, it's important to remember that Nostradamus often wrote in metaphors, and his prophecies invite interpretation. But regardless of how we decode his words, there's one thing that stands out. Great change is coming, and it may not arrive gently. That quote alone carries the weight of warning and wisdom. The Age of Aquarius, as he saw it, wouldn't automatically lead to enlightenment. Instead, it might demand that humanity be tested first through challenges that shake us, break us, and eventually, perhaps, awaken us. This idea shouldn't fill us with fear, but rather inspire deep reflection. What does real transformation require? Can we grow wiser, kinder, more united without first confronting the chaos we've inherited or even helped create? It's not about predicting doom, but about preparing ourselves emotionally, mentally, and spiritually for the kind of world we want to build after the storm. In times of upheaval, how do we stay grounded? How do we treat others when systems fail or uncertainty rises? What role does each of us play in shaping a future that holds hope, not just for a few, but for all? The age of Aquarius, then, may not be a destination, but a passage. And like any powerful journey, it demands courage, compassion, and clarity. So as we look ahead to 2025 and beyond, perhaps the message isn't to fear what's coming, but to face it with awareness. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Real enlightenment isn't handed to use, it's forged through our choices, our resilience, and our willingness to grow even when the path is dark. Chaos may be part of the prophecy, but transformation, that part is still up to us. Number 2. AI, Uprising. Helpers or masters? Imagine a future where the very tools we built to help us begin to outthink, outmaneuver, and ultimately overpower us. This is the eerie possibility Nostradamus hinted at centuries ago, and it speaks directly to us today. One of his most chilling predictions involves the rise of artificial intelligence, not just as a convenience or advancement, but as a force that could eventually slip beyond our control. Picture a world where machines are no longer servants of humanity, but entities with their own intentions, acting without guidance, even in opposition to the people who created them. This isn't the stuff of science fiction anymore. It's an echo growing louder with every breakthrough in AI technology. When Nostradamus described cryptic visions of warships in chaos, unseen enemies striking from the shadows, and rebellion born from invention, many modern interpreters believe he foresaw a future ruled by artificial intelligence, where human decision-making is overridden by cold, calculated logic that no longer answers to us. Today, we see the foundations of this in autonomous weaponry, self-learning algorithms, and machines making decisions in areas as sensitive as finance, healthcare, and even military operations. It raises a serious question. At what point does convenience become dependency, and when does dependency become surrender? As we continue down this path, it's worth asking ourselves, are we building tools to help humanity, or are we unknowingly creating our own replacements? The Buddhist teaching reminds us, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. If our thoughts create tools driven by profit, speed, and domination, what kind of world are we truly manifesting? And more importantly, are we wise enough to handle the power we now wield? AI has the potential to be a remarkable ally, helping us solve complex problems, reduce suffering, and make life easier, but only if guided by wisdom and compassion. Without ethical grounding, though, it could easily become a source of immense suffering, inequality, and even destruction. This brings us to the heart of the matter. How do we maintain control over something that learns and evolves faster than we do? In Buddhist philosophy, there's a strong emphasis on mindfulness, being fully aware of our intentions, actions, and consequences. So let me ask you, how mindful are we being as a global society in the development of this technology? Are our leaders, scientists, and corporations approaching AI with humility and foresight, or are we being driven by fear, competition, and unchecked ambition? This moment in history could be a turning point, a crossroads between enlightenment and chaos. As the Dhammapada says, the wise man makes an island which the flood cannot overwhelm. That island is our collective wisdom, compassion, and responsibility. If we continue down this path blindly, relying only on technological advancement without spiritual maturity, we risk unleashing forces we cannot contain. But if we meet this challenge with inner clarity, ethical awareness, and shared purpose, AI can serve as a force for good rather than a harbinger of doom. What do you think? Are we wise enough to shape the future with care, or are we racing toward a destiny we'll regret? As we reflect on Nostradamus's vision, Let's remember that the future isn't written in stone, it's being written by our choices right now. So, how will you choose to engage with this rising power? Number 3. Red Adversary Rising. One of Nostradamus's most unsettling predictions speaks of a red adversary that would stir fear across the seas, a cryptic phrase that has led many scholars and modern interpreters to connect this imagery with the rapid rise of China as a global superpower. While Nostradamus often wrote in metaphor, using symbolic language to mask the precise nature of his visions, the reference to red and fear spreading overseas fits eerily well with the ongoing geopolitical tensions we're witnessing today. China's assertive actions in the South China Sea, its bold stance on Taiwan, its massive naval expansion, and growing cyber capabilities have made it clear that this is a nation not just rising in power, but actively shaping a new world order. In the past decade alone, we've seen alliances tested, economic dependencies questioned, and ideological rivalries heat up as China strengthens its grip across multiple domains from trade and technology to diplomacy and defense. The balance of global influence is shifting, and Nostradamus's prophecy seems to capture this very moment in history where one power's rise may lead to another's uncertainty. But what does it really mean when we talk about the red adversary? Is it only about potential military confrontation, or is it also about competing ideologies, digital supremacy, and economic dependencies that make the world more fragile than ever before? Nostradamus warned of terror crossing oceans, not just with weapons, but with influence and disruption. Today, the concept of conflict has evolved. It no longer begins only on battlefields, it begins in cyberspace, in financial markets, in global narratives that shape public opinion. As China deepens ties with some nations and challenges others, we're entering a more complex and multipolar world. And this leads us to a deeper question. Are we prepared, not just politically and militarily, but ethically and emotionally, to navigate this new landscape of power? What lessons can we draw from this prediction that apply not just to world leaders, but to everyday people like you and me? In moments of global tension, fear can drive us toward division, suspicion, and conflict. But awareness, understanding, and mindful dialogue have the power to open different paths. We must ask ourselves, how can we contribute to a future shaped not by confrontation but by cooperation? Are we consuming media and news with critical thinking, or are we being swept into waves of fear and nationalism? As citizens of the world, our choices, from what we support to how we treat each other, shape the collective energy of this planet. Nostradamus may have offered a glimpse into a future shaped by rivalry and disruption, but we are not powerless within that story. History has always been written not only by kings and empires, but by the values and actions of ordinary people. So as we consider this prophecy and its parallels in today's world, let it be a call not to panic, but to reflect. What kind of future do we want to build? How can we foster peace and understanding, even in times of competition and tension? The lesson here is not simply that great powers will rise and fall, but that in the face of rising power, we must stay grounded in our shared humanity, practice wisdom over reaction, and ensure that fear never drowns out compassion. The seas may grow stormy, but with steady minds and kind hearts, we can all help steer the world towards safer shores. Still with us, that means you're not just watching, you're seeking deeper truths. Type Eyes Open 2025 in the comments if you're ready to face what might come. There's more to uncover, and the most surprising predictions are still ahead. Keep watching, you won't believe what's next. Number 4. Economic Crisis in the Giant. Nostradamus's haunting vision of a mighty giant facing economic collapse has stirred much debate among historians and scholars, and many now point to the United States as the likely nation he foresaw global superpower, standing tall yet teetering under the weight of its own unresolved issues. In his cryptic verses, he speaks of a great empire undergoing a severe financial downfall, where not only the economy trembles, but the fabric of society is shaken by unrest, division, and widespread uncertainty. This interpretation resonates strongly today as America faces soaring national debt, widening income inequality, political infighting, and a sense of growing disconnection between leaders and the people. The rising cost of living, inflation that bites into everyday essentials, and fears of a potential recession have made the future feel uncertain for many. Yet Nostradamus's prophecy doesn't end in darkness. It suggests the possibility of a profound rebirth, a renewal that could arise only after facing the truth of decline. And this is where hope begins to stir. The United States has shown time and again that within its greatest challenges lie the seeds of transformation. From the Great Depression to the financial crisis of 2008, the country has endured collapse only to emerge stronger, more self-aware, and often more innovative. The question now is, will this potential downturn become a doorway to that kind of renewal once more? In Buddhist thought, we are reminded that, just as a snake sheds its skin, we must shed our past over and over again. This wisdom speaks directly to times like these when a nation, like a person, must examine what no longer serves, release what is heavy, and step forward with new clarity. Crises have a way of exposing not just economic fragility, but spiritual and moral vulnerabilities too. They force us to ask, what values have we been building our economy on? Is it endless consumption, unchecked ambition, and the illusion of permanent growth? Or can we turn toward values like interdependence, community, responsibility, and compassion? The economic system we participate in is not just numbers and markets, it reflects our collective priorities and intentions. And as the foundations shake, we are offered an opportunity to reshape them with wisdom. Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself," reminding us that panic and despair can be more dangerous than the crisis itself. The same is true today. Fear can paralyze a society, but awareness and shared purpose can revive it. As you listen to these warnings from both prophecy and present reality, ask yourself, what role can I play in this time of uncertainty? How can we support each other in communities, make more conscious financial decisions, and stay grounded in values that go beyond profit? Whether it's through supporting local businesses, demanding ethical leadership, or simply practicing generosity and understanding in our daily lives, we each have power. And just as in Buddhist practice, transformation begins not from running away from suffering, but by meeting it fully, seeing it clearly, and responding with heart and wisdom. The road ahead may not be easy, but within the struggle lies the invitation to become something better as individuals and as a nation. So let us not just fear what may come in 2025, but prepare to face it with open eyes, strong hearts, and a deep commitment to rebuilding a future we can all believe in. Number 5. The Return of the Magnate. In one of Nostradamus's most enigmatic yet eerily resonant quatrains, he describes a bold businessman elected governor of the army, whose actions broke bridges and sowed fear in the heart of the city. While the cryptic nature of his words has baffled interpreters for centuries, recent events in 2025 have cast a striking light on their potential meaning. Many people now believe that this prophecy refers to Donald Trump, a billionaire businessman who shook up the political world and whose return to the presidency in 2025 as the 47th president of the United States has once again created major waves in history. His unexpected and dramatic return to the highest office has not merely shifted the political landscape, it has reignited fault lines across communities, nations, and ideologies. As sweeping executive orders alter immigration policies, trade agreements, and military alliances, a sense of global recalibration is palpable. To some, his comeback represents strength, a restoration of national pride and clarity of vision. To others, it signals a step backward toward division, authoritarianism, and global instability. The metaphor of breaking bridges now stretches far beyond poetic symbolism. It echoes in the frayed relationships between nations, in the tense conversations within families split along ideological lines, and in the shaken trust of institutions once seen as unshakable. This moment in history invites more than mere political analysis, offers a chance for introspection about power, cycles, and the deeper forces that move humanity. As the Buddha once taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. No rise or fall in leadership can offer permanent refuge, because the external world is always in flux. What remains, then, is how we choose to respond. The fear stirred by controversial leadership is not new, but in every era there is a spiritual test beneath the surface, a test of whether we will cling to division or choose the harder path of understanding. Nostradamus may have envisioned this moment as a warning, not of one man's return, but of the collective risks when ego overtakes empathy and ideology trumps shared humanity. It is tempting to fall into camps, to label others as enemies simply because they cheer or criticize the same leader differently than we do. But as Buddhist wisdom reminds us, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal law. In modern life, these ancient truths have never been more relevant. Whether we are scrolling through divisive headlines, speaking to family members who see the world differently, or grappling with our own uncertainties about the future, the path forward is not to burn more bridges, but to carefully rebuild them, sometimes brick by brick, with patience, humility, and courage. As decisions made in Washington ripple into our daily life-shaping economic realities, social narratives, and international tensions, we are challenged to remain steady in our personal values. Are we listening with open hearts? Are we grounded in principles that transcend party lines or political figures? This prophecy is not just about a person, but about a possibility, that we may be entering a time when humanity must choose between repeating the same cycles of fear-driven reaction or stepping into a higher consciousness. As Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace." In this critical moment, each of us plays a role. Will we echo the chaos, or will we bring clarity? Will we deepen division, or will we commit quietly and daily to acts of connection, empathy, and thoughtful resistance to ignorance? Nostradamus, with all his mystery, may have simply held up a mirror to human behavior. What we do with the reflection, that is the prophecy we fulfill. Number 6. Celestial Signs and Mars Darkened. Nostradamus, often regarded as one of history's most enigmatic seers, didn't just confine his predictions to plagues, wars, or the rise and fall of Empire. His vision extended far beyond our planet, hinting at something truly extraordinary: interplanetary migration. Some interpretations of his more cryptic quatrains suggest he foresaw a time when humanity would no longer be confined to Earth. A bold leap into the cosmos that now resonates deeply with the ambitions of modern science. With today's technological advancements and the growing urgency of environmental challenges, this centuries-old prophecy has taken on new life in the public imagination. In particular, the vision aligns with the ambitious plans of figures like Elon Musk, whose SpaceX project is aggressively pushing forward the dream of colonizing Mars. Once dismissed as science fiction, the possibility of establishing a human settlement on the Red Planet is now backed by real rockets, detailed blueprints, and international interest. Yet beyond the awe of space travel lies a deeper message, one that mirrors Nostradamus's symbolic insight. Humanity's expansion into space is not merely about curiosity or conquest. It's a reflection of our instinct to survive, adapt, and evolve. We are entering an era where the boundaries of Earth are no longer the limits of our potential, and that thought is both thrilling and sobering. But what does this cosmic prophecy mean for our lives today, especially for those between the ages of 30 and 65, who have seen the world transform from rotary phones to AI-powered homes? It's a reminder that change, even the kind that seems impossible, is always closer than it appears. The efforts to explore Mars are a call to expand not only our technological reach, but also our perspective as a global community. As we look outward, we must also look inward, asking how we can be better stewards of the Earth we currently inhabit. For while the dream of living on another planet captures the imagination, our responsibility to protect this one remains vital. Nostradamus's vision invites us to reflect on what legacy we are building, not only for ourselves, but for the generations that may one day walk under a Martian sky. Are we planting seeds of compassion, sustainability, and unity here on Earth? Or are we repeating the same mistakes that have scarred our history? In practical terms, this prophecy nudges us to embrace innovation while remaining grounded in ethics. The future is being written right now, not just by engineers and astronauts, but by everyday choices: what we support, how we treat our planet, and how we raise the next generation to think globally. For those navigating the middle chapter of life, this is a chance to align with the larger movement of progress without losing sight of human values. Supporting education, sustainability, and global cooperation isn't just preparation for a spacefaring future, it's a wise investment in a more conscious present. As Nostradamus's foresight subtly reminds us, the journey toward other worlds begins with how we live on this one, and the courage to imagine better must be matched with the discipline to act wisely. Let this be our call. To dream big, yes, but also to live responsibly, because the stars may await us, but the Earth still needs us. If you're still here, you're already one step ahead of the crowd. Drop "ready for tomorrow" in the comments to declare your awareness. The future doesn't wait, and neither should you. Stay with us until the end to unlock all 10 predictions and prepare your mind for what may lie ahead. Number 7. Natural catastrophes. In one of his most chilling and urgent prophecies, Nostradamus warns of a period where nature itself rises in upheaval, unleashing a sequence of disasters that may redefine life on Earth. He speaks of an asteroid impact with such power that it could rupture tectonic plates, setting off massive earthquakes and tsunamis that span entire oceans. Beyond this cosmic threat, his writings hint at an Earth burdened by imbalanced severe blizzards in areas unprepared for winter, punishing heat waves that wither crops and test the limits of human endurance, and volcanic eruptions that could blacken skies and alter climates overnight. Among the most striking is the possible eruption in Iceland, a region already known for its volatile geothermal energy. Further, he describes choking fogs and bitter cold spreading over regions like India, places historically associated with warmth and monsoon signaling, a climate not just changing, but convulsing. Though these predictions were written centuries ago, they now echo eerily in the world we live in, where rising temperatures, erratic seasons, and increasingly frequent disasters dominate headlines. As we witness the Earth's systems strain under the weight of human activity, from deforestation to pollution and carbon emissions, Nostradamus's visions feel less like distant prophecies and more like cautionary tales rooted in the rhythms of nature. This shift in perspective reminds us of the Buddhist teaching: as a bee gathering nectar does not harm or disturb the color and fragrance of the flower, so do the wise move through the world. In other words, our survival may depend not on conquering nature, but on harmonizing with it. As we reflect on these dire predictions, it becomes essential not to dwell in fear, but to awaken to awareness. The Buddha once said, "What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow." If the world is out of balance, it reflects the imbalance in our collective mind and behavior. Rather than interpreting Nostradamus's visions as fixed outcomes, we can treat them as warning signposts urging humanity to return to right action, to mindfulness, and to responsibility for our shared environment. Technology and science have offered great strides in predicting natural disasters and mitigating risk, yet without compassion and wisdom guiding our choices, we may only delay the inevitable. This is where Buddhist philosophy offers guidance. The path of right view, right action, and right livelihood encourages us to consider not only how we live, but how our way of life affects others, the earth, and future generations. When a volcano erupts or a flood sweeps through a city, we are reminded that all life is interconnected, vulnerable, and subject to change. And still, amid the chaos, we are given the choice to act with greater care. We must recognize that the growing instability in the natural world mirrors the unrest within human societies: anxiety, disconnection, overconsumption, and neglect. The Buddha taught impermanence not to alarm us, but to free us. Understanding that nothing lasts forever allows us to cherish what we have, and more importantly, to protect it while we can. So if Nostradamus's predictions for 2025 seem terrifying, let them instead be a mirror, reflecting our role and responsibility in shaping the future. In modern life, this may mean choosing sustainable habits, supporting clean energy, or simply pausing to consider how our everyday actions impact the wider world. As the Zen saying goes, "When the mind is still, the world is at peace." Let us still the storms within ourselves, so that we may face the storms outside with wisdom, compassion, and courage. Number 8. The sleeping masses. In his cryptic and deeply layered writings, Nostradamus warned of a strange disease that will appear that will make people sleep and never wake up. On the surface, this chilling line might evoke fears of a new viral outbreak, a medical catastrophe that renders people unconscious, forever a scenario disturbingly plausible in our post-pandemic world. We have already seen how quickly unknown diseases can throw society into chaos. However, as we look deeper and engage with this prophecy through a spiritual lens, a more symbolic and perhaps even more alarming interpretation begins to take shape. What if the true sleep Nostradamus described isn't of the body, but of the spirit? What if this is a warning not about illness, but about indifference, a silent epidemic of emotional numbness and spiritual detachment that is already sweeping across modern society? In our daily lives, especially for those between the ages of 30 and 65, who carry the dual burden of responsibility and information overload, it is all too easy to fall into autopilot. The endless scroll of social media, the constant noise of global crises, and the pressures of making ends meet can dull our senses and steal our presence. We begin to function, but not truly live. As the Buddha said, "Awake, be the witness of your thoughts. You are what observes, not what you observe." But when we no longer witness our lives with awareness, we slip into spiritual slumber, unaware that the most meaningful parts of life connection, purpose, presence are quietly fading. This kind of sleep doesn't come with closed eyes, but with closed hearts. We become desensitized to suffering, disengaged from our communities, and distracted from our inner truth. Decisions that affect our collective well-being are made in far-off halls of power, while we, fatigued by a constant barrage of news and misinformation, drift further from the courage to question or the energy to care. The very technology meant to bring us together often isolates us, reducing relationships to transactions and interactions to notifications. In Buddhist philosophy, this is known as moha delusion, or ignorant zone of the three poisons that lead us away from liberation. When we live under its influence, we convince ourselves there will always be time to change, time to heal, time to start living authentically. Yet, as Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, because you are alive, everything is possible. And that possibility only exists in the now, not in some uncertain future. So, how do we heed this prophetic call? The real meaning behind Nostradamus's vision could be less about prediction and more about prevention. It urges us to awaken not with fear, but with fierce compassion and clarity, to pause and ask, am I truly awake in my own life, or have I become a sleepwalker through days that deserve my full attention? This awakening doesn't require monumental acts. It begins in the small choices, turning off the noise and sitting quietly with your breath, choosing presence over distraction during a conversation with a loved one, questioning the status quo rather than blindly accepting it. These are not grand gestures, but profound ones, and they ripple outward. As the Dhammapada teaches, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. If we think with awareness, compassion, and courage, we become a force of healing in a world numbed by apathy. As we approach 2025 and stand in the midst of a rapidly changing world, this so-called sleeping disease may not take lives in the way a virus does, but it might steal something even more precious: our capacity to live meaningfully. Let us not drift, lulled by comfort or convenience, but rise with mindfulness and purpose. Wakefulness is not just about consciousness, it's about conscience. It is about staying present, curious, and kind, even when the world feels overwhelming. The antidote is not external. It lives within us, in every mindful breath and every brave choice to engage with life wholeheartedly. And in this awareness lies not only the power to change our own path, but to help awaken the world around us. Number 9. The Fountain of Youth. Let's journey into the third prophesioni of Nostradamus's most hopeful and fascinating predictions, the idea of a fountain of youth. In one of his enigmatic quatrains, he hints at a future where human beings may live to the age of 150 or even 170, not just surviving, but thriving. While such a vision once seemed the realm of fantasy, advances in modern science are beginning to breathe life into this centuries-old prophecy. Around the world, researchers are unraveling the mysteries of aging with unprecedented speed, exploring therapies and technologies aimed at slowing, halting, and in some cases, reversing the aging process. From gene editing with CRISPR to cutting-edge stem cell treatments and AI-driven personalized medicine, the path toward extended human vitality is no longer pure speculation. Scientists are zeroing in on key biological factors like telomere shortening, DNA repair mechanisms, and cellular senescence areas that directly impact how we age. The breakthroughs emerging from this work are not only promising but revolutionary. These developments may very well bring us to the brink of a new era in health and longevity, one where the body possesses the ability to restore itself, perhaps echoing the healing potential Nostradamus foresaw. Yet, as thrilling as this sounds, it invites deeper reflection. If we truly could live for 150 years, how would we use that gift? Would it be a time filled with meaningful connection, personal growth, and service to others, or would it simply extend old habits, regrets, and distractions? Modern life already offers countless distractions, and more time doesn't guarantee more wisdom. In this light, the prophecy isn't just about science, it becomes a spiritual question, a challenge to rethink what it means to live well. In Buddhism, we are reminded again and again of impermanence, that all things change, decay, and eventually pass. But rather than contradict this truth, extended life might amplify its meaning. If life is longer, then our responsibility to use that time wisely becomes even greater. We must ask, how do we care for ourselves, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally? The Buddha taught that caring for the body is a duty because a strong body helps us cultivate a clear, compassionate mind. Longevity without awareness could turn into a burden, but longevity paired with mindfulness could become a rare gift. And here's the practical truth. Many of the most powerful anti-aging tools are already in our hands. Science might be working on genetic therapies, but we already have access to practices that support long, lifelike healthy eating, regular movement, stress reduction, and deep emotional connection. These aren't merely health tips. They are acts of reverence toward our life and body. The daily choices we make, what we consume, how we respond to stress, how we treat others are shaping not just the length of our lives, but their depth. Buddhist teachings often emphasize present moment awareness, and if we're honest with ourselves, even a longer future can only be lived one moment at a time. So perhaps the real fountain of youth lies not in high-tech labs, but in the timeless practice of living with intention, compassion, and gratitude. As we reflect on this prophecy, it's important to see beyond the surface of the prediction. It's not just about reaching 150, it's about what kind of person you'll be at 150. Will you still be curious, kind, and purposeful? Will you still have the courage to grow, to forgive, and to love? And will society evolve alongside science, creating systems where longer life is supported with dignity, equity, and meaning? These are questions not only for scientists and futurists, but for each of us, here and now. In a world increasingly focused on doing more and living longer, perhaps we should pause and ask whether we are truly living better. Let this prophecy be more than a prediction, let it be a reminder. A longer life means little if it's not a more awakened one. So today, no matter your age, consider this. How can you nourish your body, your spirit, and your relationships in a way that brings meaning, not just for years to come, but in this very moment? As the Dhammapada teaches, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. The true miracle, perhaps, is not in how long we live, but in how deeply we live with the time we're given. Number 10. Turmoil within the Catholic Church. One of Nostradamus's most enigmatic prophecies for 2025 foretold a dramatic turning point within the Catholic Church. In his cryptic quatrains, he spoke of the passing of an elderly pontiffan event that would mark the beginning of profound spiritual and institutional unrest. That prophecy materialized with unsettling accuracy. Pope Francis died on April 21st, 2025, at the age of 88, after years of battling health complications. His passing closed a significant chapter in modern Catholicism. Just weeks later, the College of Cardinals elected Robert Francis Prevost, a US-born cardinal with deep ties to Latin America, as the 267th Pope. Taking the name Leo XIV, he was seen by many as embodying the prophecy's description of a pontiff of good age, not too young, not too old. His election was swift, and his papacy began with strong messages of unity, humility, and continuity, echoing themes from Francis's era. Yet, in a paradox that Nostradamus may have foreseen, Leo XIV's rise does not coincide with a strengthening of the Church's global influence. Instead, he inherits a deeply fragmented institution. Trust in clergy remains shaken by past scandals. Secularism continues its global advance, and doctrinal rifts, particularly over sexuality, gender roles, and ecclesiastical authority, threaten internal coherence. Though Leo XIV has made gestures to heal these divides, including calls for ecological responsibility and pastoral compassion, his reign may be defined less by power than by preservation. Some interpreters of the prophecy see this not as a condemnation of the new Pope himself, but as a sign that the Vatican's moral and symbolic authority is entering a long twilight, challenged by cultural change and spiritual fatigue among believers. The weakening foreseen by Nostradamus may not lie in leadership, but in relevance. Whether taken as metaphor or omen, the prophecy reflects the Church's current crossroads between tradition and reform, conviction and compromise, authority and authenticity. As with all of Nostradamus's writings, the meaning remains shrouded in ambiguity, but in light of unfolding events, it no longer feels distant, it feels eerily present. And there you have it, of the most shocking and thought-provoking predictions Nostradamus may have made for 2025. Whether we see these as prophecy, metaphor, or warning, one truth remains clear. The future is not set in stone, it's shaped by the choices we make today. If this video gave you new insight or made you pause and reflect, then I invite you to stay connected with us on the journey of wisdom. Don't forget to like, share this video with others who might find it meaningful, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming videos, where we continue to explore ancient wisdom, modern truths, and the paths we can walk toward a more awakened world. Until next time, stay mindful, stay curious, and remember, wisdom is not just in knowing the future, but in how we live today.